Welcome and thanks for joining for a special insert. This episode was filmed in beautiful Palm Beach from the Modern Retailing Conference. As always, MRC 2025 delivered the best insights and conversations anywhere in automotive, like the challenges of implementing today's marketing tech stack, overcoming the 30-day mindset in dealer operations, and most importantly, Wikimotive's data from 150 dealers that sets the record straight on the rise of AI in search for dealerships. So let's dig right in.
Zach, MRC 2025, been a great 3 days.
As always.
As always, a lot of fun, great conversations. I think that's the thing that always stands out for me is great conversations. But after surveying everything that happened, what's some takes that you've got?
So there's a leveling up that's happening overall. I think that it's very easy for dealers to get ahead of themselves and go chasing a piece of technology or a way to level up that's maybe a couple levels beyond what's already been accomplished. So like if we're chasing level 47 and we're still at level 4, that's a bad idea. Yeah. However, I feel like I'm hearing a lot more real world utilization of advanced technologies. Talking to Kate Howell at Mullinax, and just the number of different tech platforms that she's working on integrating at once and in meaningful ways to be able to get a better picture of what's working, what's not, and make actionable decisions. And then she's making decisions. And that seems to be a theme that's repeating across a lot of dealers. And it's nice to see that we're not just talking about theoretical, like one day pie in the sky technologies anymore. We're actually doing something with it now.
Thinking back 3 years ago, a lot of the data technology landscape and the integration landscape was solely theoretical and only theoretical at the largest scale of group.
It almost sounded like you just said theater-retical.
Theoretical.
I like that because it was almost just theater.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It wasn't a real thing. It was all just kind of make-believe. It was like a bunch of just talking about big words.
Yep.
And now it's actually a thing that people are doing.
And a thing that is now started to really be enacted vertically within the dealership.
Yeah.
Not just at the highest levels of the CMO is here and making a decision on a thing. You're hearing this everywhere within the marketing department and everywhere, even within the dealership, being able to make decisions based on the data that they're able to make actionable through these various platforms. I think it's really been interesting to see and develop over the past couple of years.
For sure. And there's an increasing pattern, particularly because these conferences all come, MRC and DMSC come right after a CXO. And there's this fun knock-on benefit that's definitely starting to happen where CXO in and of itself, larger dealer groups sharing ideas, kind of having a 20 group for dealer groups. And that's starting to bleed over into the conference that follows, because they'll have talked about something a lot more advanced at CXO, and then it continues getting talked about throughout MRC. So you see a lot of dealers who are not in CXO starting to absorb some of that higher level thinking by osmosis.
So we don't get too far in front of ourselves. CXO, what is it?
It's a lot of CMOs, dealer principals, people making decisions at high levels with pretty high stakes and a lot of stores that they need to cover and sharing ideas. The takeaways that I hear from CXO members is really that you get stuff out of it that no 20 group is able to touch on, no matter how good the moderator, no matter how good the collection of dealers, because it's just not all people with groups.
I love the idea, because one of the things that you and I have been talking about for a long time that has kind of worked its way more so than I ever remember into this specific conference is education. And when you think about education, you have to educate at the top level and get buy-in from your CMO, from your CEO, whatever, so that can really take a foothold throughout the dealership. And I think one of the things I know we're really passionate about, and we've seen it more and more here, is real meaningful education in the dealership for everything from sales to data and analytics and marketing, and I think that's a big part of where this needs to go.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it. I think one of the biggest things on everybody's mind is AI. So obviously you spoke on that, but what's your takeaway from this weekend in automotive, in AI and large language models?
I think there is kind of an awareness materializing that not all things labeled AI are necessarily actually useful or mature, ready for prime time. And there does seem to be an awareness that AI is not one thing. It's an underlying technology enablement layer that can help propel different technologies in different ways. And I think people are starting to shop for products, talk about products through the lens of these are different disciplines. Like digital voice assistants are, agentic AI that can talk to a person on the phone, and that's a very different thing than needing to deal with the landscape of AI and search.
Right.
And we do seem to finally be decoupling the topic a little bit, and that's very helpful for the conversation.
Yep.
I did a ton of research for my presentation. Cited every slide, cited every study, cited our own, details on the case study that we did with 150 dealers, and people seem to get a lot out of that. And I think what it showed me, patterning that to the larger whole of the topic, is there is just a big need for better cited information. If we're saying to do X, Y, or Z with X, Y or Z AI enablement, why? What is it actually doing now? Why should we spend our money on it now? Is the technology actually mature and ready, or is this just something that somebody's talking about for one day? And I would say that dealers maybe are not doing enough discerning or asking additional questions about this kind of stuff, but it's starting to happen. It's starting to creep in a little bit, and understanding that you need to find out what is the underlying substance, right?
Yep.
And so the example from my presentation is obviously AI search is a nothing burger for the moment. That's not going to be the case forever, but at this moment, there is no data to support that a meaningful percentage of your lead generation opportunity is going to come from AI search, not this year anyway.
So you say based on data. Give me a tiny bit of that for those that weren't here.
Sure. So, first of all, for anyone who wasn't here, we can absolutely provide people with the presentation, and either downloaded the deck or the executive summary or the video itself. People got a lot out of it. Brian Pash was so kind. He likened it to a TED Talk. The actual information in the study, we looked at how are people actually engaging with LLMs. So like somebody goes to ChatGPT, where is the barrier between them doing discovery and research, which we're all doing on one of the LLMs for the most part, and transitioning into a search for a car, a product, or a dealership. And once you make that transactional leap, right, from informational, which is discovery and research, to transactional, F-150 for sale near me, people radically change the way that they're searching. And it's part of just the natural innovation adoption curve. It's the way that consumers change their habits, and it happens slowly. It's issues with the technology itself not being at a maturation point where it can get out of the way and be useful for transactional searches. And so that further leads in a feedback loop to people who do try, find out, oh, this doesn't work, and they go back to their old habits and just search Google. So we looked at a lot of data, hard data, on that from studies from outside of automotive, also our study where we looked at 150 of our dealers in a composite and pulled together their AI traffic from the different LLMs, Bing and Google organic traffic, and looked at how do those look in proportion and what does the trajectory look like? And nobody saw that coming. And as soon as everybody saw it, I've talked to dealers at this conference who are hell-bent on making sure that they're showing up in the LLMs because that's where all the activity is going. And by the end of the presentation, they were coming up to me being like, light bulb, we don't need to be doing this second.
Yeah, there was an audible gasp in the room more than once, which was kind of cool. Lots of good information, be it AI or tech stack integration or education. I think it's been a great show for that. I think personally, my observations, if I was to make a hot take, is really the need for dealers to decouple the 30-day mindset. I think when we talk about all of these problems at scale, really what we're talking about is a matter of focus and commitment to long-term projects that require a clean view of the horizon. And if that horizon's 30 days, if that horizon is the next sale, if that horizon is working that next deal, then you're really not focused as really a business leader in where your dealership and your company, because that's really what it is. You're really, as a GM, you're really CEO of a pretty sizable small business, and viewing your decision making, viewing data, viewing your people, viewing your process through something other than that 30-day cycle that we all get stuck in, or you can get stuck in. It seems to me anyway that that's the message that permeates throughout all of this, is when there's a focus on that horizon and what we want the future to look like, then you can really start building towards that. But I think, if anything, I think that'd be my big takeaway here.
So many great points made here, and dealer groups identify the importance of these points, identify the importance of changing habits in their marketing, habits in their process. Then it can easily fall apart when you get back to the store and everything switches back to the what'd you do for me today, what'd you do for me last week, 30-day window of operating a business.
Totally.
And if you're not thinking ahead a lot further than that, much longer time horizons and measurement windows, you're bound to continue spinning your wheels to some degree.
Yep. And it's expensive, and often where you find yourself is in the future doing the same things that you wish you weren't doing right now.
Yeah.
And the only way to change that is a different outlook on how you structure your business.
For sure.
So, Zach, hot take. What'd you walk away with?
I had a lot of conversations where we're focused on step 47. We haven't focused on steps 1, 2, and 3 yet. Whether it's your store process is broken, whether it's your CTA stack is 7 buttons deep and you haven't looked at it in 10 years.
Yeah.
There are a lot of basics not firing on all cylinders. Go to my presentation. The number of dealers who, hopefully less now because it seemed to be so well received, but the number of dealers who very clearly were planning on focusing like 50% of their search attention for this year on AI, when 99% of the opportunity is traditional organic and paid search. We were going to miss opportunity. We were going to misplace resources because we were focused on step 47 that's going to be a big deal in maybe 2028 and not focusing on what's a big deal in 2026, never mind the next 30-day cycle.
Taking inventory of where you want to go and putting the actual necessary steps in place and calling them out as where are we at and what is the next step to where we actually need to go. I think it's a huge part in driving the whole conversation and dealer success forward. So
definitely. For anyone who's not been to an MRC or a DMSC, beautiful venues, a lot of great education, a lot of levels of knowledge. So whatever level you're coming in at, somebody knows more than you, and you can learn from them. Somebody knows less than you, and you can teach them. And it's definitely not all. It's not pitches at these conferences. It's education.
Great conversations. Well, I think that's it for this episode. There's a cornhole match and some beer over here we got to get to. So
that's pretty fun.
I think signing off for this time. It's been fun, and we'll see you next year, MRC.
Well, that wraps our thoughts on MRC 2025. If you'd like to watch Wikimotive's full keynote or download our executive summary, check out the links in the description, and we'll see you next episode.